right, it is 6:01. I am calling the Select Board Sewer Commissioners meeting to order. All members are present. The meeting is also being held virtually in a hybrid setting via Zoom. It is being recorded by the Town of West Boylston staff. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. First item on the agenda is public comment. It's a 15-minute period for an opportunity for the public to address any of their concerns or questions or town operations, but the Select Board will not act or discuss it at this time. Do we have anyone from the public? No? Anyone online? I saw Ken unmute. I don't know if he means. Ken, did you unmute for comment?
Just watching.
Just watching?
Has someone trying to get on?
No. All right, going once, twice, you're out of luck. In pure Christina fashion, we're going to move things around on the agenda, but I'll start with the quick stuff. Review and vote to approve the warrants for the period covering October 15th, 2025 to November 5th, 2025 as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one, regular meeting minutes. Have you had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or changes?
No.
No? Okay. So regular meeting minutes, October 1st, 2025, and October 20th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Next item on the agenda, I'm going to skip to, is the creation of the tree warden policy. But I think the question was if there was, who was the tree warden and how did it operate? One of the select board members was able to send over some information saying that the Department of Public Works was created by the town, a town meeting vote on May of 2004 to consolidate the functions of the Office of the Tree Warden, Streets and Parks Department, and the Sewer Department. In October of 2021, the Cemetery Department was added to the Division of Public Works, and that the department also maintains all the equipment in town. I'm not sure what else we could add to that, but if we think of anything else to put in that area. I would invite, though, if you want to come up, Tom, and just say, is there any questions you have about tree warden, or do you actually want us to create a policy or guidelines to follow for your group, for your department?
Tom Degnan, West Boylston DPW Director. On that note, we just basically follow the mass regulations.
Mass general.
Yes, generally, okay.
Yeah, public ways and laws, the shade trees, Chapter 87, 1 through 14. And that's all I've been doing, basically, is
Okay.
following that.
Do you feel that we need to create a select board policy to outline tree warden responsibilities? I'm okay with
I think
not.
that chapter covers it. If
Okay.
there's anything outside the realm that needs to be brought in, then we could look at that.
What about the other towns? Do they have any policy on that?
A lot of, there's a mix. I think maybe 60-40, 50-50 of committees. So a lot of the tree wardens, the towns have the tree warden committee too, that helps out. And I don't know if this town
No.
had it or,
We had one, but
Yeah.
I don't think so now.
yeah. So that
So-
being said, that's a good help there too, you know, a
If
little bit.
so I'll leave this at this, since we don't have anything on this. If you want a policy, we love to write policies. We now have 108 of them that have to be updated all the time. But if you would like, we could write a policy, or if there's something that chapter or that, I haven't looked that up, so I don't know what that is.
Actually, it doesn't cover everything, especially what we had recently on Worcester Street.
Okay, so do you?
So something like that would be something we would like to address and see how we handle it going forward.
Sorry, could you add details to what you mean on Worcester Street? Just
There's a private dead tree
okay.
on someone's property, and notification notice wasn't the best, but the department tried to do what they could, and it turned into a little bit of a fiasco.
Okay.
So that going forward would be a good policy, something like that.
So,
We define what we need to do
Got
and
it.
how far we go.
all right, so I think that could be, I don't have it tonight, but I think I'm gonna go to something I know. So there is a big tree near my house. It's on state-owned property. It was massive. If it fell onto my property, my problem. If I send a letter to the state though, saying this is a danger, blah, 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 and you keep citing it, if that happens, I've notified them of the danger, and if it happens, they are responsible for or liable. I'm thinking what you're looking for is more defining, information like the tree warden will send you X number of notices, and with that, the intent is if it does fall or destroy public property, you are liable or responsible for that, or something along those lines is kind of what you're thinking, like outlining
Yes.
that a little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
If we draft something, I can take, if you guys don't mind, I can take a stab at drafting it and send it over to you to review.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it on a future agenda. But I'm just gonna go see what other towns have and try to make something like that for us.
Yeah.
And then we'll send it to you, you can review it, and then you'll bring it back here as if it's yours, and we'll go from there.
That'll work out.
And essentially a situation, an action, and then escalation type template to follow more or less. Is what, okay.
All right, the next item on here is the placement of signs. I know there's a lot of talk about transportation. I know I sent out a few, even just models of, I don't think it corrects things, but maybe putting islands in certain places that would deter accidents or deter situations. I had one at request that's actually right over here by the manor, which it's just putting an island in so that traffic cannot go all four ways, because that's the majority of the accidents over in that street.
Would
But
that be on Route 12?
yeah, so it would be a formal request made to Mass DOT. So I did send that to the Transportation Committee, and I think they met, and then the request back was, who can actually put a sign up? I am under the belief it is the
DPW.
DPW owns the streets, right? You say who can, unless it's under 5 years that the street's been put in, you can say the street can be opened or the street cannot be opened based on like permitting. I don't think you can put stop signs in or speed limits.
Yeah, when it comes to intersections and stuff like that, you'd have to have some kind of a study on it. And maybe some help from Mass DOT or some kind of regulation on it. I just can't arbitrarily, there are people out there that wanted signs in certain areas. I just can't jump and put signs all over the place.
I think it's also an expense. I know some people offer to pay for massive speed limit or blinking speed limit signs that are different.
I actually got prices on some of them today.
Okay.
I called up on them, and the stop sign 36-inch with the solar blinking lights, that's $1,300 without the pole and without the installation. The ones the police are using with the showing the speed that
Yeah.
you're going, which are really nice, I like those, but those are double the cost.
My issue wholeheartedly, and I know I said this years ago, and everyone, hopefully this will get published somewhere and will disagree. They said that the reason people didn't stop at stop signs is because they couldn't see them. So we made them bigger. And we cut all the bushes, you weren't here, around them because they couldn't see them. The next thing was it was still happening, so they said if we make them blink, people will stop. That didn't work either. By the school, we had to forcibly make it a one-way that people still drive up to this day with 4 stop signs on it, so, in that back road by the light department, and we still have the same issue. So I am just thinking we spend a lot of money to make people,
Attempt to follow the rules of the road better, but.
right, I
you know,
actually
if that
said at
changed.
one point, maybe we should electrocute them I mean, there's nothing we could put for signing that's gonna make them stop doing it. That
Yeah.
was actually said, like, I can't stand out there and set a cop under the one on Woodland Street, right? And make them flag down every single car when that thing goes off. So the signs are only as good as the person that wants to actually abide by the law, the traffic
And
laws.
another thing is too, if you have cameras and you monetarily hit them in their pocketbook as a penalty, then that's gonna keep them awake for when they come to certain intersections and stuff
And the
like
town
that.
can put a cameras, it's a state law, right? Cameras.
I have to
Looks
look
like
into
state
that
We
law.
more.
would have to hire someone, store the data, have someone watching it,
Yeah.
having them have the
I've
authority
noticed
to
a lot
look
of
at
towns
plates.
in Rhode Island now, because I still have family there, that are basically adopting, like certain school areas. They're doing that, they're putting the cameras in, so they're mandatory. Sometimes you'll see people, when schools are in session, 9, 10 o'clock, you'll see people just totally ignore the 20 mile per hour sign, not realizing that kids are gonna go out and play at some time with the teachers or whatnot. They just go too fast. So what they do is, I've seen them in East Providence, Pawtucket, all over the place, where they put them at the schools. But like East Providence, a major route getting to a highway seemed like a speedway getting to the highway. Right on that side road, there was one right there, and it was like kind of hidden by a bush. By law, you have to have the sign before it
Yeah.
to show it. It did, but if you're not paying attention, you
Yeah.
get hit. Fines could be hefty. I know when I was in DC, they started at, I don't know, 250
Yep.
if you went over like 25 miles an hour.
I don't know why we're so behind. I mean, New York had them on bridges before I had a license.
Well, this
were
town
sending
isn't, it's every
But
town.
I think
And
it's
it's the
major.
amount of money you have to
Right.
try to do that too.
So the guidance for the transportation, so Transportation Committee is asking for guidance on sign placements.
Yeah, specifically what is the, almost similar to the guidance we outlined for trees, if someone comes in, where's the authority to put it up? Should transportation be developing some type of, assessment system to say, oh, is this actually, one person wants this in town, okay, maybe not gonna happen. Oh, we've had 20 people say we're really concerned about this intersection. Oh, maybe there's something to that. So we're trying to understand what the rules of the road are and how much, we've had several people now show up to different meetings to voice their concerns about certain intersections in town, and rather than just being a sounding board, we are just trying to understand where we can affect change. What can be done? So I was looking for that guidance on what can be done.
So I do think, because I did a little bit of digging, and I was really happy when I saw this kicking off and people were attending it, that I sent this massive email to them with all these things. And I was like, here you go, this is all the things I wanted. But they were just complaints, right, over multiple years, what people complained about. I do know that we still have to follow mass general law on what signs can look like, what color they can be. Like, we can't put up,
Sure.
someone wanted like a 25 mile, I think on Pheasant Hill Run, they were like, that's considered thickly settled, we want a 25 mile an hour sign put up. Well, that's not it's not 25 miles there, it's 35, because it's not considered thickly settled by what Mass DOT says is thickly settled. So I know you have to abide by that, and I know you install them and you order them and the town pays for them,
Correct.
as long as they are approved. Like, we're not making up our own signs.
Sure.
I also do know, because I looked this up when we put in the situation, Raj, you were here down by the school when they were actually forced to make it a one-way and put the islands in. That was done with, I believe the Transportation Committee made the recommendation with the support of the DPW to the Select Board, who then said, we do agree, we had to send something to I think we had sent something to Mass DOT, they said, do it. You know, you can do it if you want, as long as it's not changing like the flows of traffic, but you have to pay for it. So we paid for it in like stages. First it was just signs, then we had to narrow the road, then we made it a one-way, then we put an island in to stop it. So I think that's really what I think could come of it. It's what things can we legally do in the town of West Boylston, which we should know, right? And then what things do we have to petition Mass DOT to do?
Or our sister cities or towns.
Right.
They
like
might have a
connections.
lot of them, the same scenarios, and that's what they did through Mass DOT. It'll probably be something where we do a lot of research on it and try to figure out what will fit in our community.
Well, I think the Transportation Committee, if I think about it personally, they're the ones getting it. They're the ones assessing it. They're also the ones looking at opportunities. When I think of a consolidation of reaching out to, it would have to be through you, of course, but reaching out to Mass DOT to walk the areas or look at the traffic studies coming in, I think they're probably the right group to kind of get that together with your agreement and kind of help you, I don't want to say do the paperwork, but get the request to understand how it should look and what the residents want. You might have to compact to say, hey, we can't shut down every road and make them all 10 miles an hour, but this might fit the bill, and then bring maybe even Mass DOT if you can get a conversation in or a meeting.
Sure.
Something, I think that's
There's-
kind of your best.
So,
Okay.
I have some information. Regulatory signs, stop, yield, and speed limit. Authority, the Select Board, Board of Selectmen generally has the legal authority to approve the installation, removal, or change of regulatory traffic signs. Implementation, once approved, the DPW or Highway Department installs the sign. Basis, the changes often require a formal vote of the Select Board. Sometimes after review by Police Chief, Traffic Committee, or Mass DOT. Reference Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 18. Governs the local authority for posting speed limits and traffic regulations.
Okay.
In other towns too, also, on the police department, they usually have a safety officer, and a safety officer will dictate where things basically go to.
So what I offered this person that's on the Transportation Committee that I'm going to refer to as AL.
Yep.
Alex, AL, was if the Transportation Committee had recommendations or through this board to make to the Select Board, you know, I would welcome seeing that, and maybe even writing, I had drafted maybe a letter on behalf of support of the Select Board to do something on Route 12 or do something in these areas for the residents. Because sometimes that kind of, it helps get things moving or gets, you know, acknowledgement. So what I offered to say is, if there are true recommendations that you guys want to make,
So
these boards want to make changes. to
is this
bring
in the
here.
Route 12?
This is in multiple places around
Right.
town.
So if it is Route 12,
That's state.
then the Mass DOT must approve.
Right.
But this is if they have recommendations to engage Mass DOT, the Select Board can request a review or ask them to assist in something. And I think that we would be welcoming of that.
Okay.
I will certainly do this.
Yeah.
Does that give you kind of what you need?
I think so. I mean, I
Yeah.
think transportation can then start formulating a list of recommendations that we view are problematic in town. We'll send them up this way. Where Mass DOT needs to be engaged, we'll try to reach out to maybe town admin / CMRPC to them, and otherwise for streets that are not Mass DOT owned, then we've got more leeway to say, okay, yeah, we'll put in the budget for this sign, or we will not, or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, I was gonna say, and I think that's kind of where you sit. I'd bucket the Mass DOT ones together and then bring them here and kind of do an official, start the clock by filing something with us, like us
Okay.
sending something to them.
Okay.
Do you have Do you need us to approve anything tonight? I see folders, so I just want to make sure.
No. no,
Okay.
I just had the basic information that we've been going
I think
over.
the only other one we were curious about was, for example, Alex had noted the corner of Crescent and Prospect. There's an intersection that makes it very difficult for cars. If you're on Prospect, coming downhill from the residential area, going towards the lighthouse, or the light plant rather. And it seemed like and again, we may need Mass DOT to look into this, but one possible change was to move where the crosswalk and stop line are today, slightly closer to parallel with Crescent Street. Again, I don't know, I'm guessing it will be similar approval processes to signs if we can move that stop line further out so that cars can actually see both sides of the intersection before pulling out into traffic.
Yeah, we'd have to measure it too, see if
Okay.
there's enough room.
Okay.
See we also gotta look at laws too. Like some of them, sometimes they're crazy, they go like way off skew instead of usually the ADA and the rest of them with crosswalks, you wanna be
Yeah.
parallel. And a lot of them, like we see, David, you've seen it too, and they're way off because the road isn't, it's
Straight.
not geometric, it's
Sure.
like, they wanted to take half the sidewalk out too, just to kind of square it off, so
Yep.
that's another challenge.
Yep.
So why don't, take away from that, leaving this meeting, I'll draft just a note up on kind of a little bit of what we discussed to send to Alex for that board to react to. Just kind of what we agreed, put it together, bring it to us, and subdivide out Mass VOT and the other ones.
Okay.
Before I let you go, is there anything else you need from us? If not, I'm
Can
gonna
I
free you.
ask one
Oh,
question?
no.
My favorite question. Manholes,
Oh, Paul and I are supposed to go out there and take a look at
Striping.
them.
roads and striping, anything?
Right now, it's a bit too cold,
Too late,
and like we
too much
stated, when
leaves.
we got approved, we're gonna do that right after this winter
Maybe
season.
consider some other manholes, maybe in the
Yeah.
busy places. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're free. If you, as long as you're ready, if English, you wanna stay. I mean, you don't wanna stay.
I don't
All
think
right.
You like when I ask you manholes.
All right, so the select board will now enter into executive session pursuant to GLC 30A 21A7 to comply with or act on the authority of any general or special law or federal grant in aid requirements, purpose 7, the open meeting law GLC 30A 22FG to approve and review the select board executive session meeting minutes from the following dates: April 2nd, 2025, April 16th, 2025, September 15th, 2025, and October 29th, 2025. Votes may be taken to approve and/or release those minutes. The board will reconvene in open session following the executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Raj?
Yes.
Yep.
Jay? Me? Yes. Vanessa? David?
Yes.
All right, we will be back, folks. Thank you. All right. We are back in regular session, and the next item on the agenda is to review A1 role of the select board policy. This item is on the agenda because of me. I did ask for it, and I sent off what would be amendment to it. I'm going to give you the reason why. There's always an issue when select board members or any board members reach out to department heads or officials in any capacity that they're working. Currently, I sit on, I actually don't even know how many committee boards, but I am on the Fire and DPW Feasibility Subcommittee that was created off of the select board and appointed. And I had some questions about how debt roll-off works and how, if we brought to town meeting a new fire or DPW station, what that really would look like to residents. And I did ask a question of, can you provide, oh my God, sorry.
Spider? Having trouble with the
There
spider?
is a spider, and Vanessa's gonna run out of the room. If it gets closer, we'll end the meeting. But so, I made the request of what the debt roll-off is for the town of West Boylston. As a normal resident in town, you were allowed that information. You were allowed any information because your tax dollars pay for, it's coming, it is just gonna land on me. Your tax dollars pay for that. I made the request, thinking it was simple, and then was reminded that due to policy A1, I'm not allowed to talk to anyone without going through the select board, without going through certain channels, because I'm a select board member, which somehow makes that I have lost my rights to be a tax-paying resident and ask questions. So my doesn't matter. This is where I'm at. So I thought that maybe I've heard about this now for 4 years, actually more than that, and even on other boards. I thought we're updating policies. This one has not been touched, so maybe it's time to update it. What I have recommended in here is to add some modifications that ensures consistency. So we might serve as the executive body, but to enable transparency, we are still allowed to talk to employees, or in a lot of cases, our employees are also residents of the town, to engage them. So it says that we are consistent with implementing policies, accountabilities, and coordinating across departments. Like we're part of different committees. The board shall not direct, manage, or interfere in department operations, but the members are not prohibited from communicating, speaking to department heads or employees, both as elected officials and still as residents of the town of West Boylston. And they can engage in conversation if it arises, and if there is a concern that is brought to a select board member. I've had 3 recently that I can't do myself. I forward it on to the appropriate people to deal with those, that it's okay that I forward them to the right departments. So many of these are around concerns and formal recommendations, requiring if it's a formal action or a policy, those would go through the town administrator. If it's feedback about a employee or a complaint about an employee, we have now a complaint process that we go through. If anyone wants to kill the spider, so Vanessa doesn't freak out during the meeting, that would be
Keeps
fine.
getting closer.
Where is it?
It's right there.
I see it. It's
Just
giant.
use this and hit the wall.
It's not right.
So,
Getting
No,
closer.
no.
so those matters and those priorities would still rely with the town administrator or those departments, but in no way does this article or this policy serve as because you were an elected official, you now have lost all your rights as a tax-paying resident of town. This is what I did this for. I am happy to hear any feedback.
I don't see anything in this policy that says we can't talk to anybody. I do see, I think there's a difference between, interfering in the day-to-day activities and actually going down and having a conversation. That said, I don't have any problems with any of the changes except for, you've stricken, it's the town administrator's responsibility to address these matters and implement any necessary improvements or resolutions. I think it remains the town administrator's responsibility to implement necessary improvements, but.
I would just say, Raj, this has been a sticking,
Oh, yeah, I know.
what are
So the
your,
thing is, my question is this policy is based on the special act?
no.
No, it is not, okay.
I read it. I think it's good, as amended. I think it makes sense that I think it just clarifies things. I don't think anything really changes, and I think that it just makes it a little bit clearer. And I think that it's good how it is.
David?
I'm good with language in this.
Jay?
My comments are noted. I mean, I think the only thing I'd suggest is that it remains the town administrator's responsibility to address and implement necessary improvements, but otherwise I don't have a problem with any of the changes. I think it makes it clear and addresses ongoing issues.
All right, so,
Not this, I have to say a few things. Not only this at town administrator. So there are earlier, few other town administrators said the same thing, except Anita. When Anita was there, she gave us a Excel sheet. That Excel sheet has all the department heads, phone number, office phone number, cell number, everything. After Anita left, so everyone said the select board member should not contact any of the town department heads. So that does bothers me. So as you said, as a town resident, I can call the DPW director, but not as a selectman.
I
So
agree.
what is this, on the other thing is, very simple issue like, hey, my trash is not picked up. Do I call DPW director or do I call town admin? Send an email to the town admin. Town admin will sit on it for a couple of, maybe a half a day. And then she will go to the DPW director. And then she will get back to me. By the time, the trash is removed, So I
think it just causes us to send
Yes.
the town administrator dozens of emails every time we get something from a
Not only
concerned
that,
citizen.
as an elected select board members, we have the obligation, when the town residents called, we do need to address it. So it's not like, they are appointed and salarized people, so they don't care, but you do care, we do care.
I think there's an obligation to be maintaining communication channels to be able to
Agree.
know at the bottom levels or at lower levels what's actually going on without the filter of somebody else. So, yeah, I mean, the intent here is not to put pressure on department leaders or,
So-
otherwise, curry
I
favor or
totally
whatnot.
agree. Whenever I call for an issue with any department heads, I say that, don't take it, this is from me. You don't have to push that thing just because I called, Go, this is the complaint I got from the town residents. Put it in your list, and when they can fix this. So I get an answer. Like this one, even today, I was talking about the manholes. It's not been fixed,
Well, I think there's proper channels, so I do direct people for proper channels.
I do.
I would say it's the rationale behind it. I do think that there's I talked to the fire chief and DPW director, did it both today because of the other committee. And the reality is, what I should have done, and what actually came to light during this last few months is, I wind up sending like 4 emails to the town administrator, and she's like, sending one to DPW, sending one to the one other board, or she's refunneling them, and it's just forwarding of my email to them, and then they're just reaching out to me to say, hey, I got this email, where the reality is, it's just causing her inbox to be loaded up
Unnecessarily
with
burdened.
random
Yeah.
things that.
Yeah, for in the spirit of transparency, you could CC her or BCC her, etc. One of the two on it, so she's aware that it happened and she's up to speed on the conversation, without.
She doesn't care that the trash recycling wasn't picked up on Prospect Street. You know what I mean? Till 2 hours later when someone complains. Where is it?
It's right above my head. It's a drain tub.
No, it's not.
It's right there.
All right, so do I have a
Your head's way
motion
back
to
here.
approve the,
So moved.
as listed?
Yeah.
All right,
As amended.
as amended, do I have a second?
Second,
You can sit over there.
I can't live.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Someone has to fix this. I can't.
Okay, you might want to get out.
Yeah.
All right, the next item on our agenda was the review and amend to a vote the,
Where is
Now
it?
it's on
Right
the
there.
That was
Sit
smooth.
down.
Under the
You
microphone.
you didn't mention.
It's so fast.
here,
I'm not going to kill it.
You're not?
Now it has gone behind the plate where the two desks join.
you can't make this up,
In this?
It's behind that. Good news. You can sit there.
Oh, man.
all right,
You go for the king, you better not miss.
He killed it. He's a killer.
it's done, yep. We'll put that on Facebook later. I actually will like it if someone puts that on there. So review, amend, and vote on recommendations for the special act. So there's a special act in town. It's chapter 23 of the acts of the 1995 Town Charter Special Act. This has been a nemesis in our life. It talks about positions that are no longer elected. It talks about bylaws and committees that don't actually work the way they do. No other town in Massachusetts I can find actually has one of these. It was a way to form a position. So what it did was abolish the executive assistant position and promote, as it says in the special act, he, because it calls out he who was given this job, it created a town administrator role. So this was all about taking what was an executive assistant role and elevating it to a town administrator role and giving powers to that role that are provided via a contract, a job description, our bylaws, policies, and another example of this is our town clerk is listed in the special act as being an election. You'd have to run an election and get that seat, when the reality is that was also changed to be an employee appointed position. So there are a lot of things in this. I had sent some recommendations off to KP Law to see about at least amending it to be semi-current. They're still reviewing it, so I don't have it now, because the reality is it doesn't reference the local government in town, one, and two, it's hard to base this off of anything else because no one else has it. They've removed it. So I'm going to wait till that comes back. This would have to go to town meeting though. So a lot of us would have to review the amendment updates if they recommend it. They could recommend just abolishing it, but it would go to town meeting. They would vote, and then they don't have the final say. It would go to the state, where they would have an option to say, we agree with your amendments 1, or we agree with abolishing. Or we say you have to go and restate everything that's in the Special Act of 1995, which then we would bring back and change everything that we have recently done in the last 20 years to bring it back to how it was in 1995.
30 years.
30 years? It's been one night. 30 years. So that is why that's on this, because I know this was a hot topic. I do think somebody should have maybe amended it since 1995, but that's why it's on here. I am going to pass over it unless anyone else has anything to say.
I just wanted to mention that, when we were talking about townwide planning and changing the composition of that and all that, we, as a committee, wanted to have the seats of chair, vice chair available, but this special act requires the town administrator to be the chair. So that's something that I thought was odd too. So I too would like to see some amendments or changes to this act.
I would say on the townwide planning, thinking of that, a lot of towns have town charters, which are harder to change, but towns have town charters, which is kind of like our master plan, that talk about all of these things, but we have just kind of things put together. So hopefully with townwide planning and some other things, this just goes away so we don't get stuck in this spot, but I'm not sure. The next item on here, I also think we should pass over. It says a discussion on holiday office closure for Friday, November 28th. I have no information about it besides an Excel spreadsheet that was in a Google Drive of towns nowhere near us that provide a paid day off or are open or let folks do a PTO, so I'm not sure what to do with it.
The thing is, they are asking for day after Thanksgiving. Do the town will consider a holiday?
So what did we, I know this came up a few years ago. I think we allowed them to use a personal day or
I don't know.
I just wonder, with the personnel bylaw that lists out the holidays, why does this keep coming up? If this is something.
Just a select board consideration.
Why does it come to us? Like, why does this come to us,
Because
but yet
select
a
board
job
has
description doesn't? Like,
That select board has an authority to say, yeah, take that day off, go enjoy your Thanksgiving.
I don't know.
Well, so normally they would have to go through, I think it personally goes through like Juneteenth went through the personnel,
And then it had to go to town meeting.
and then it went to town meeting for approval, and then we wrote it in. Every time we updated a contract, we put the new one in it. I think these come in fairly often around every holiday, which is add a half and personally, I think sometimes we're kind of superseding personnel and we're superseding town meeting. Like if we're gonna do, say we wanna use this for a half day before or after, I don't disagree with it if the thought is they don't wanna use their time to take that time off. Then just put it in front of the town, right? Like this comes up every single couple months to us.
It's a bylaw issue. I don't have any interest in revisiting. People can use their PTO or.
So
vacation.
maybe the recommendation is, I mean, no one's here to speak from the town on it. I'm guessing there was probably some type of discussion I would think they had, or maybe someone requested it. But the request should be, if they listen to this, to maybe go back to personnel and we get something around that. I just don't know enough about what this is, to be honest.
Just, we forgot vehicle.
All right, I'm leaving that. Come on, man. All right, so the next one on there, we did jump, was there's also an item on here called, I'm jumping around a little bit. It is on a creation of a policy for lettering town vehicles. There isn't any word language in here, and I will also tell you, normally I don't say much to this, but I'm gonna give you some backstory on this. This came because of me. It was,
You don't say.
if I gotta blame someone, right? I have been on this board 4 years, but I have been on several boards for 15 years, and I was always under, I guess, the illusion that when the town bought very expensive vehicles, that we lettered them. We put our symbol on them. It said, just like every other town, right? West Boylston, or some of them have the seal. I never thought about it. It's never really come up as an issue here. I will say in one of those situations, I received a call from a very upset lieutenant that works for Worcester on July 31st. He reported an incident where two employees of our town had taken an unmarked vehicle to Boylston and went onto his private property to discuss the removal of a tree. He asked me why and who authorized the vehicle to leave the town, and it was at our common practice, and why we were sending people out in unmarked vehicles from the town. I get a lot of stuff randomly during the day. I told him that I would figure out what was happening, and I am sorry there must have been confusion, because honestly, at that point, I thought all of our vehicles were marked, and I honestly didn't think it was any West Boylston employees. I was wrong on all accounts. The vehicle was unmarked, and they were town employees that left our town and went to another town, to a person's personal house, because that person also owned property in town, and they went to talk to him about removing a tree on his property. That is where you saw we need a policy around the tree warden, and apparently when I asked this question, I was told that they don't have to letter their vehicles, it is optional, which was something I never heard and was shocked. So then I said, how many vehicles do we actually have in town that we have purchased, hundreds of thousands of dollars of them, that are unmarked? As you all know, if you have an unmarked vehicle that has not been altered, and it is insured by us, right, and you are using it for personal use, that can be infringement on your taxes. You have to write that. If we have a very strict policy on who can actually use town cars for personal use, it also brings up some issues around that we have had in the past. That's why I assume this wasn't an issue, where vehicles were outside of the town being used for personal use that shouldn't have been. That is not an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars. I don't think that is why the town purchased those vehicles. So this is why this is there. I haven't drafted a policy on it because I honestly didn't think we would have to ever do this. It just seems normal. Raj, I did talk to a few
Yeah,
prior
it
select
was-
board members,
It was
but
a few years back. It was
The police cars.
news media. I was on hot seat. So one of the meetings, I did ask the police chief why our police vehicles are not marked or not lettered. So that turned out to be a media circle. So after that, it did go on, police chief did put letterings on the vehicles. So this is, even in other towns like Worcester or Shrewsbury, their vehicles are same color. DPW means yellow color. So, and also our town logo will be there. That prevents, says, oh, yeah, DPW vehicle is there. It's an official vehicle. So I would like that way, So I did try that time, but it worked only with the police department, but did not go to the level of other department.
Do we have an agreement with a company that would apply the
we use,
in text?
yeah, so I was gonna say, they have Connor Signs that does some
they
of them. I'd say I was gonna use just an example. Honestly, I didn't know. I don't look at these vehicles and would know. I think some of the police ones are like undercovers or things like that. We would not want to put a logo on it. The fire chief he didn't just get a Tahoe, but we didn't have to go tell him to go put, the seal and fire chief on it. He went and did it because also it is part of a contract because he works 24/7, so he needs to be able to get back and forth. But I personally feel we're being forced to create a policy for something that, every other town around us that I looked, some do have a policy, but it was because of an incident, right? So they created a policy. Honestly, if it's a $200,000, I don't even know, dump truck, right? Like, you would why would you not put that on it, and why would it ever leave the town unless it was picking something? Like, so some of this feels a little micromanaging to me, because it's like we have to create a policy to tell people to put the town seal on a town property. Like, I almost,
It's not micromanaging if this felt common sense to you, and I would say it feels common sense to me, but if that is not pervasive throughout all departments and all town vehicles where appropriate, then we should make a policy to remove the ambiguity, and then
It's a town property.
Yeah.
So that should be, we should proudly displace the town logo.
Yep.
Yes,
Agreed.
Period.
Well said.
Nothing is.
so we have a vehicle use policy that we adopted in 2023 that had some things around, you had to report accidents, you had to have certain things, that were standard. So it's policy number L-28. My recommendation, because it is a vehicle use policy, and it's the reason we have one, that we take a moment and maybe add to that one that town property needs to be within a certain period of time, unless there is some backlog in a company being able to do it, that it needs to have the town seal on it and needs to be readily identifiable. I don't know how we do this. I have to look at some other things. So if someone wants to take this, I'm fine with it. But that's what I'm recommending. I do not have anything now, but I'm guessing that is why this is also on the agenda tonight. Unless anyone has a problem with that, I'll move on to the next one, which is a update on the school building committee. And I know our superintendent, I thought I saw Emily on the phone, who is the chair of the school building committee. So the superintendent, I believe, sent us an email too to give us an update, but if there's anyone on also, or no, I did see Emily though, so I feel bad. I will give you what I know, which I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but I do know that they officially gave the MSBA a letter, which is they have 10 days to comply, saying what the official vote was and that the town voted to not approve that project. Outside of that, I don't have really, oh, hold on, sorry, school. From Heather, dear Select Board members, so on Monday, our school building committee made a motion to recommend that the town consider exiting the MSBA process for our current school building project. The SBC does not have the authority to formally withdraw from the program, as it is a town decision per MSBA protocol. Considering that, the school committee would like to take up the matter at their next meeting on 11/12. The result of that discussion will be shared with us, and they'll provide us an update after that. And it just has select board members, representatives David and Vanessa. So we will take no action until we hear from them with a recommendation, since we only created this at their recommendation on what they want to do.
You're saying from the school committee or from the school building committee?
The school building committee is a subcommittee that was
Right.
created for MSBA, so we have to wait for the school committee, because they have to officially, and then we have to agree to officially withdraw.
Okay.
This is how it's explained, so I will wait till they give us how we do the procedure here. All right, authorize signatures in accordance with MLG Chapter 41, 41, and 56 for fire department. I don't have anything to say about this. Do I have a motion to authorize the approvers?
Motion to authorize approvers.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So
Go ahead.
who is the authorizers
It's in the packet.
in the packet?
Yeah, so it is,
We did the same thing with the
Police
Police,
department, yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that, just ignore.
so fire department, emergency management, ambulance, and PSB. So fire chief, Captain Mark, and Robert, which I'm going with Bob O'Connell.
Bob O'Connell, yeah.
I don't normally call him Robert, but those are the three listed that can authorize signatures. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item is the town administrator 6-month formal discussion. The town administrator is not at this meeting, so since this is an informal discussion, this will be moved over until our next meeting when she is available. Next item is an update on board and committee pages on the website and appointments and resignations. I did not receive also anything on this agenda item, but if any of you have any input. So I would have to pass over that. The next one is the town administrator has a few appointments on here. One of them is an appointment for Amy Harkin. She's a custodian at the senior center, grade B, step 1. Do I have?
So moved.
do I have a s-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next is the police chief's appointment of 2 special police officers, Jimmy Bartlett or James Bartlett. And I'm gonna kill this guy's name,
Marcelo.
Marcelo Tavino. Both of them as special police officers. I'm gonna do the other two too as well. Acknowledge the resignation of Dave Femia from the Fire DPW Feasibility Study Committee effective October 22nd, 2005, and the appointment of Dick Martino to the Fire DPW Feasibility Committee. It says pending volunteer form and submission, so it was submitted, and it was a recommendation by the fire chief. I don't personally know this person. I don't think he's here, so do I have a motion to approve all listed?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on any of them? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I did not receive a town administrator report, and unless any of you did, I will pass over. Meeting invitations and announcements. The town hall will be closed on November 11th for Veterans Day. And it says, November, but it's just supposed to say November 11th. Is there anything else, future agenda items or select board reports?
I have one.
Go for it.
So the senior center would like to have the select board as a standing appointment for the first Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. for coffee. So we would take turns going monthly, so we can go there and answer questions or just sit down with residents at the senior center. And I said I would be proactive and get the next 3 months people set up. So I have December, January, and February. I can't do January because I'll be in Mexico. But if anybody else would like to volunteer for one of these 3 months.
I volunteer Raj for the next one,
All right,
David for the one after that, and Jay for the following one.
all right,
Did you drop me on January?
yep.
Is it Raj is your name?
And then I volunteer that I go sometime in the near future.
I'm gonna,
I get yelled at because great grandma goes and then she's mad I'm there. It never works out. I just wind up in trouble from everyone. But I can go the next.
You said the first Wednesday?
yeah, the first one. I'm gonna send her and copy you guys all on which dates you have. I'm gonna put you in March and, no, I'm gonna put myself in March and you in April.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because I might also be away in April.
This person. All right. Anything else? Last chance. Is there anything, I would say, the one item I have for select board reports is I'm going to bring up that I unfortunately am on a lot of boards like many of you, and it has come to my vast attention that everybody, cemetery is looking to get land, the school is looking to build and get land, whatever they're gonna build wherever, the fire department needs a place, the DPW needs a place. We don't have a ton of place in town, and I think everybody is talking about it separately in individual meetings and also talking about trading land with DCR for the rail trail. I think that I would like, if possible, townwide planning to collect all the people that are talking about one piece of property to sell for theirs or trade, to somehow get in the same room and maybe strategically think on how to approach the conversation, or what land might be available that some of them can use and work together instead of against each other. That was my only thing.
Having, you said that, I would think we do need a land. The select board or the town has to provide if someone is passed away. So my thing is, we do have the land, so they should consider making that place as a cemetery, or renovate or whatever the things they have to do.
I'll just
So
say,
that's, that's my, as a selectman,
I'm not gonna talk about it, that's why I said it would be great if the townwide planning, and I'm not on that, so that's also fantastic.
What I'll do
could
The
is,
bring
Tivian
folks
Drive
together.
Tivian Drive was approved by the town as a cemetery.
so basically what I'll do is at our very next meeting, which is the last Monday in November, I will send out a request for somebody from each of those departments to come to our December meeting. And then we'll have a discussion, and hopefully we'll have some material on what is available and talk about, priorities and what people can do. I mean, I don't think like waiting a month is gonna be.
I don't think
too
anyone's
much.
gonna do anything in a
Yeah, so I do think that we do need to have this conversation as a group, everybody in the same room. So I think if we have one person designated to come to the townwide planning meeting, I think that's a good idea.
Just one more thing while I'm thinking about, townwide planning and perhaps the economic development task force would be wonderful opportunities to get together to talk about what economic development should look like in West Boylston, so that we don't have another, just going back to the conversation from town meeting where we sent the proposal back to the select board for reconsideration. I would like to see the planning board, the townwide planning and economic development, kind of take a look at it, see what kind of town we want to have, and make recommendations to the planning board, maybe zoning board of appeals, and in preparation for the next town meeting where we can actually have a real conversation around what would be a benefit and what would be an economic driver for the town, while we're carefully considering safety, pedestrian access, and, traffic concerns.
All right, so townwide planning seems to be an exciting board. They'll be really happy with us. All right, any other questions, concerns, last comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.